From the Samsung Production Studios in the heart of Hazleton, Pennsylvania, it's your News 13.
Brought to you by SSPTV and the Standard Speaker.
It's unthinkable, but it happened all too easily as a Monroe County man with an axe to grind simply opened fire on township officials and local residents at a public meeting. That deadly meeting in the Poconos, our top story on News 13 for this Tuesday. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Kathy Bazinski. It's a fear that is now on the minds of elected officials all across our region. Somebody walks into a public government meeting and starts shooting. It's exactly what happened just a short distance away in Monroe County last night as a resident who was angry with supervisors opened fire, killing 3 people and wounding several others. Now, Christina Papa was at today's news conference. She's here now with the very latest information. Christina?
Thanks, Kathy. Well, the coroner and state police released some new information about the victims' names and possible motive this afternoon. State police were still putting the pieces together at the scene at Ross Township Municipal Building in Monroe County after last night's deadly shooting. 59-year-old Rockney Newell opened fire at the township building during a monthly supervisors meeting.
Approached the front of the building and opened fire through a window of that building. The bullets passed through an office and over into the meeting room where the township supervisors meeting was being held.
Newell went into the meeting, discharged more shots, and then went back to his car to get a second gun. When he came back into the building, Bernard Kozin and Mark Kresh jumped on Newell and tackled him to the ground.
Very courageous individuals positioned themselves in a way that they were able to jump on this subject as he came through the door. They wrestled with him in an attempt to subdue him, even while he was firing rounds from that .44 Magnum revolver.
During the struggle, Newell was shot in the leg with his own gun. Now police and officials are calling Kozin and Kresh heroes.
If it hadn't been for him, it could have been a lot worse because he had a new handgun that he was coming back fully loaded, so he had a .44 Magnum that he was about to shoot 6 more people with.
Newell's intent was to kill as many people as possible. State police reports say a trooper heard Newell say, quote, "I wish I killed more of them." State police say the ongoing dispute with township officials led to the shooting. Following an 18-year battle over the property, Ross Township ordered him to vacate the property because of hazardous conditions and because he built a culvert that stops a stream.
We do believe that he was angry about the condemnation of the piece of property in Ross Township in terms of targeting at least the majority of the initial gunshots were more of a random nature. 53-year-old Gerard J. Kozik and James V. LaGuardia died at the scene. The supervisor of Chestnut Hill, who was also the zoning officer of Ross Township, David Fleetwood, was flown to Valley Hospital. He later died. Today, Newell was arraigned and charged with 3 counts of criminal homicide for those deaths. He was also charged with 2 counts of criminal homicide and aggravated assault. Kathy?
One incredible story. Thank you so much, Christina. Well, in response to that shooting, municipalities across the area have been looking into their own safety precautions. Public meetings are open to all taxpayers, but city officials in Pottsville tell News 13, in light of last night's tragedy in Ross Township, they're looking into how to strengthen their security at their public meetings so something like that incident in the Poconos doesn't happen again. Officials say they want to build on measures they already have in place.
Can no longer get into our basement police headquarters. That is now off limits unless you're taken into that particular part of the building by the police. We've locked our side doors. You can no longer get in that way, so everyone must come in through the front door. And we also have installed security cameras in our council, in any public areas, the rotunda, the tax office, and the council chamber. So we've done a lot of things, but we don't quite know if we've done enough.
Pottsville officials actually held a morning meeting today to go over new measures, and they say tightening security is an ongoing project. Meanwhile, our area continues to grapple with its debate on gun control. The chief of police in Gilberton has just about completed his first week of his month-long suspension over some vulgar and violent YouTube videos he made. But as Matthew Petrillo tells us today, the chief's attorney says it looks like he may be terminated.
Stressful on my wife, it's very stressful on my children.
Despite tearing his family apart, Chief Kessler says he doesn't regret posting a profanity-laced YouTube video where he fires high-powered guns symbolically at federal officials. His latest video took a different approach. Released this week, it shows Kessler without guns and without him using obscene language.
I'm going to lose my job. I know that. I'm probably going to end up losing my family and my marriage over it.
But to Kessler, it's all worth it. He says he's making history.
If I could open the door for one person to say, hey, look at the bigger picture, what's going on here across our nation, you know, so be it. Maybe 30, 40, 50 years from now, they'll say, look at what this one man did. You know, they won't even know who I am, but they'll say, you know, there was a guy back in this certain time that stood up and said enough is enough, and he sacrificed a lot, and he made a difference.
But Kessler himself could be history if the borough has their way. At a press conference at his lawyer's office today in Frackville, Chief Kessler said officials from Gilberton Borough may be looking to fire him. They changed all the locks to Borough Hall and are asking him to return all the guns he purchased under the borough's name. He says the mayor told him her hands were tied.
Told me that their insurance carrier called them and said if I was not disciplined or terminated, that they would be dropping their insurance.
But Kessler's lawyers say the chief did nothing wrong. He says the suspension is a guise for the borough just buying time to come up with a different reason to fire him. And if the borough does fire Kessler, his lawyer says they'll sue. Matthew Petrillo, News 13, Frackville.
The hunt for a suspected killer on the run turned several blocks of Alter Street in Hazleton into a battle zone Monday afternoon. United States Marshals took the lead on the search and got help from Hazleton Police, State Police, and the Luzerne County Sheriff's Department. They believe that 26-year-old Andre Collier was holed up in an apartment building near 12th and Alter Streets. Collier is from Philadelphia and is wanted for taking a man at gunpoint to a rural area of southeastern Pennsylvania, then shooting him in the back and leaving him to die. During the search, Alter Street between 11th and 15th Streets were closed for a little over 2 hours as law enforcers with guns drawn secured that area. Turns out the man in the apartment wasn't Collier, who was actually caught nearby around the same time.
The U.S. Marshals received information that the individual who was wanted was not in that building. They left the city of Hazleton. We maintained a perimeter around that building until such time that approximately 5 o'clock, the U.S. Marshals contacted us and said that they did in fact apprehend the individual outside of the city of Hazleton in Carbon County somewhere.
Collier was actually picked up just outside of Beaver Meadows. He faces first, second, and third-degree murder charges, along with a long list of other charges. Well, he says he's had enough. Embattled Luzerne County Controller Walter Griffith has announced he'll resign tomorrow. Here you see Griffith in his primary hearing on the illegal wiretap charges a few months ago. The state attorney general's office charged him with illegally recording 3 conversations without the consent of at least 8 different people. Charges are third-degree felonies, which carry a maximum sentence of 7 years in prison plus fines. Griffith also faces a civil suit from a Wilkes-Barre businessman, which the AG's office says was a victim of one of those wiretaps. Griffith says he's being forced out because he's trying to hold other officials accountable under the Home Rule Charter. In a meeting earlier this year, he told News 13 that the alleged wiretapping he may have done was all for the good of the taxpayer.
Everything that I've done in the controller's office for the last 3 years have been for the good of the taxpayers of this county. I've been trying to hold people accountable in this county for doing the things that they're supposed to do and not. And you know, I have done what I had to do as far as the controller goes, and I've done my duty as what the taxpayers wanted me to do.
Now, Griffith's position will be filled by a deputy until somebody can be appointed to the post. He was also running for re-election in November. Still ahead on News 13, the fallish weather continues right through this week. We'll tell you when we'll get back to summer in News 13 weather. But first, it's been decades in the making, but Pennsylvania's anthracite coal miners will finally get a stamp of approval. We'll tell you all about it when News 13 continues. It's an honor that took more than 3 decades in the making, and this week it's finally here. Miners from northeastern Pennsylvania will be honored on a new stamp that's being issued a little later this week. As Matthew Petrillo tells us, it took the work from a lot of different people to get done.
Post offices across the country will be getting a piece of central and northeastern Pennsylvania. U.S. postage stamps will honor coal miners from the region, paying tribute to the theme from August, Made in America, Building a Nation.
It's been something that they've been wanting to do for a long time, and they finally got around to doing it.
More than 3 decades in the coming, to be a little more exact. A campaign for the stamp began about 30 years ago in a Wilkes-Barre elementary school. Durbis says the country wouldn't be a world leader today without the efforts of the coal miners, who helped push it forward and into the Industrial Revolution.
So many other things came about as a result of that, the railroads, the canals, and historically, it's something that we should not forget.
Now, 2 local U.S. representatives played a pivotal role in trying to make this happen. They are Lou Barletta and Eddie Pashinsky, and for years they've been trying to tell the Postal Service to make a stamp to commemorate our area's miners.
We really have to go back into the 1850s and look at what coal mining did for this country, and it was tremendous, the contribution that it made.
The stamp features a coal miner working in the mines to pay tribute to the men and boys who mined, some even risking their lives. The stamp officially debuts in a postal office near you Thursday, August 9th. But you're going to need to preserve your stamp, right? Well, the Schuylkill County Historical Society will help make your coal miner stamp a piece of history. They'll be celebrating Friday by authorizing the stamps with a seal. Matthew Petrillo, News 13, Pottsville.
What a wonderful tribute. Time now for our regional weather from the National Weather Service. Checking the radar, nothing major to see, but it's a pop-up thunderstorm kind of day, and that's what we'll have to watch out for right through this evening. Creative Condition is fun and summery. It's by Biz Rubik, a student at Hazelton Elementary Middle School, and it's a terrific day, perfect for flying a kite. Plenty of flowers in bloom, and even a little bunny rabbit scampering through the field. Now let's take a look at News 13 weather from the National Weather Service for Greater Hazelton for tonight. Scattered showers and thunderstorms with a low around 62 degrees. Then for Wednesday, cloudy, scattered showers and thunderstorms again, a high near 74. The showers are likely and there will possibly be a thunderstorm at night with a low down to 62 degrees. And heading to Schuylkill County tonight, slight chance of showers and thunderstorms, low getting down to 62. Then for Wednesday, same there, showers and thunderstorms likely with a high of 76. Showers and thunderstorms will continue at night and some could produce some really heavy rainfall. The overnight low around 64 degrees. Well, this weekend is a big one in Greater Hazelton. It's time for an annual festival that folks have been enjoying for more than 100 years now. Stephanie Gorney has details on the annual tribute to Madonna del Monte and all the fun that goes with it.
It's a festival that has been going on for over a century, and it is returning this weekend to continue the long-standing tradition. The Madonna del Monte Festival kicks off this Friday and is going to have a lot more room for the crowd to enjoy the fun.
We're open, rain or shine. We are fully covered this year. Seating, more than enough seating for everybody. That was always an issue in the past. Everything's going to be held on 4th Street between the stop sign and the alleyway. Fully covered tent, street, you name it. So we have a lot of off-street parking this year, which was another issue we've always had. It's pretty much a one-stop shop for a good weekend out.
This festival is put on by Most Precious Blood Church and is a big celebration of the Blessed Mother. On Sunday, there will be a large procession throughout the streets of Hazelton.
On Sunday, we do have a procession that goes to the whole northeast section of town. We have about 30 different chinties, which are the candle houses that participate. The different families get together, and it's just a way for everybody to kind of reconnect, enjoy each other, enjoy the company, enjoy the weather, and most of all, it's a tradition for our Blessed Mother.
And while you are reconnecting with friends and family, you can also enjoy some Italian specialties, as well as some traditional favorites.
We have a lot of your most traditional foods. We have meatballs on a stick, a good cheesesteak sandwich with roasted peppers, grilled peaches with vanilla ice cream, a lot of the local favorites too that people come for, pierogies, halushki, that kind of thing.
The festival starts this Friday and runs throughout the whole weekend. This is one of the largest fundraisers for the church, and everyone is encouraged to come out to enjoy the tasty foods, great entertainment, and just an overall good time. Stephanie Gorney, News 13, Hazelton.
Good evening, everyone, and here's tonight's social news. First tonight, happy birthday to our own Ron Marchetti. This wish comes with love from your family, friends, and everyone at SSPTV. Also tonight, happy birthday to my mom, MaryBeth Fisher. Love from your family and friends. Tonight's Talk of the Town report, the Greater Shenandoah Area Chamber of Commerce will be holding a town-wide yard sale September 21st. The event will be held at the lot adjacent to the Shenandoah Senior Community Living Center, and tables will be available for only $5. Proceeds benefit the Chamber's Christmas Lighting Fund. That's tonight's Talk of the Town. News 13 would like to send sincere condolences to the family and friends of these recently departed. Agnes M. Laputka of Hazelton. Mass will be held Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. at the St. Jude's Church. Viewing will be held Tuesday from 6 to 8 p.m. at the McCune Funeral Home. The Rosenstock Funeral Home is in charge of arrangements. William J. Seaton, formerly of Hazleton. Funeral is Wednesday at 10 a.m. from the John J. Pustai Funeral Home, Friends McCall Wednesday from 9 to 10 a.m. Josephine S. Demshock of Harrisburg. Arrangements will be announced by the Hazel Chapel of the Crompton Hughes Funeral Home. Frank Francis P. McNulty of Weatherly. Memorial is Wednesday at 10 a.m. at the Lehman Family Funeral Service, Friends McCall Wednesday from 9 to 10 a.m. Patricia Pat Ann Job of Barnesville. Funeral is Thursday at 8 p.m. from the Lamar Christ Funeral Home, Friends McCall Thursday from 5 to 8 p.m. Evelyn Irene Fritz of Hometown. Services are Thursday at 11 a.m. from the Lamar Christ Funeral Home. Mary Ellen Kokinda of Hazleton. Funeral is Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. from the Damiano Funeral Home, Friends McCall Wednesday from 9 to 10:30. And Edmund Anthony Sirocco, formerly of Jetto. No local services were announced. Tonight's obituaries have been brought to you by the Smilax Floral Shop located on 15th Street in Hazleton. For delivery to all local funeral homes, call 570-454-0111. And by Doves of White, serving Schuylkill and surrounding counties, call 570-205-1597.
SSPTV Sports on News 13 with Fred Barletta Jr.
Well, the AAA club of the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Indianapolis Indians, have the biggest lead in all of AAA baseball. Maybe that's part of the reason they haven't been playing real well, because they certainly have not been winning a lot of games as of late. Their lead is still 7 games. But we're wondering how much of that is involved with Russ Kanzler. He's in a little bit of a tailspin as well, the likes of which we've never seen in his entire minor league career, but he should work his way out of it. But it's probably very frustrating. Kanzler last night did get on base twice. He walked twice, he did score a run, but he was 0 for 2. He's now been playing first base, if you haven't noticed. So they had him at third base for a little bit. Now they have him at the other corner of the infield. So we'll see what happens there. It's looking at best that he's hoping for a September call-up there to PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Meanwhile, the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs got upended by Charlotte, 8-5 final there. Of course, the Rail Riders had the day off. They don't today. As you take a look, they'll be hosting Syracuse. Kanzler and company will continue their series in Louisville, and the Iron Pigs in Charlotte continue that one down in North Carolina. Well, the Barnum and Bailey act that was the New York Yankees yesterday, well, it will continue. They'll play Game 2 of the 3-game series at U.S. Cellular Field in Chicago. Of course, with all the A-Rod stuff, the Yankees lose a game handily. It was over by the second inning. They lost 8-1 to a Chicago White Sox team that had come into the game losing 10 in a row. Looks like they were more excited about A-Rod's appearance than the Yankees were. Meanwhile, speaking of Chicago, that's who the Phillies will be hosting. Of course, it'll be the National League version of it, the Cubbies. The Pirates will be hosting the Fish. Colorado goes to Citi Field to play the Mets. And Joe Madden and company, they go out to the desert in Arizona. They'll play a little interleague series. They played 2 with Arizona last week. Now they'll return the favor out in Phoenix. Now, of course, as we've told you, what a difference a year makes. Not that the Rays were playing bad baseball. They were 5 games over 500 at the beginning of August last year. This year, they're 20-plus games over 500. Needless to say, this team has been on fire. We sat down and talked by phone with some of the Tampa people in the last couple of days. Mark Topkin, who is the beat writer and one of the great journalists in all of Major League Baseball, tells us why he thinks the Rays have been on fire and exactly why this team is looking as good as they are.
Their month of July was the best month that they'd ever had, and certainly one of the best months any team's ever had. I think maybe the best July since the 1941 Yankees or something like that. But it's been amazing. I mean, they really were kind of sputtering along, and some good weeks and some bad weeks, and very inconsistent. And then right around late June, in fact, they had a 4-game series in New York, and starting with that last game up there, they won that game, and they've been on this tremendous tear. They've won over 20 of their last 27 games, and just moved right back to the top of the division. They're a game off right now with Boston after Thursday night. But really, got right back in the middle of it, and at least according to Joe Madden, doesn't see any reason why they can't continue this. I mean, they're not going to be able to play at this pace, obviously, But if they continue to play as well as they've been playing, the pitching and the hitting and the defense all meshing finally for the first time this season, I think they can really stay in this thing throughout August and September.
Yeah, it seems everybody starts it and gets it kick-started, we should say, when they play the Yankees. He's saying that's where the Rays kind of turned it around. But we'll see. This is a nice little road trip. See if they can continue playing the way they are. Of course, the Red Sox just simply refuse to go down now, and looks like it's head down to a Tampa Red Sox showdown. Don't count the Orioles out yet. As far as the Yankees, well, I hate to say this, but I don't think they're in the mix. Tonight's sports is brought to you by Mountain Speedway. Here's a look at this weekend's action. It's going to be busy. The racing will begin at 6, so plenty of action this Saturday. Just $10 for grandstand admission. Kids under 10 are free, and if you're active military or a senior, you get a $2 discount. There's the website and the phone numbers. You could call them and get all the information on the excitement of racing down at Mountain Speedway.